He woke. Dust motes danced in the pale light. Where was he? His ears rang, a constant high-pitched whine. The air, thick with the metallic reek of blood, made him gag. He was alone. His squad. Where were they? He remembered the charge, the deafening explosions, the screams, then nothing. Just this emptiness, this ringing silence that pressed in on him, suffocating him. He had to move, had to find his unit. He pushed himself up, his hands sinking into something soft and yielding. He looked down. A man's face stared back, vacant eyes reflecting the shattered sky. He scrambled back, bile rising in his throat. Another casualty of this senseless war. He stumbled to his feet, his legs shaky, his head pounding. He had to get out of this place, out of this nightmare. The silence was unnerving. Gone were the shouts of men, the roar of engines, the thunder of artillery. Only the wind moaned through the skeletal trees, stripped bare by the fury of battle. The silence screamed louder than any bomb ever could. He checked his rifle. Useless. Empty. He discarded it, the metal clattering against a rock, a sharp intrusion in the oppressive quiet. He needed to find his bearings, to orient himself in this wasteland. The sun, a pale disk through the smoke-filled sky, offered no clues. He was lost, adrift in a sea of devastation, unsure of which way led to safety, which way led deeper into the abyss. Fear, cold and clammy, coiled in his gut. He pushed on, driven by instinct, by a primal need to survive. Each rustle of leaves, each snapping twig sent his heart racing, his eyes darting to the shadows, expecting the enemy to emerge at any moment. Fear was his constant companion now. It gnawed at his resolve, whispered doubts in his ear. He had never felt so alone, so utterly vulnerable. He was a small, insignificant creature in a vast and unforgiving landscape. He thought of his family, his wife's gentle smile, the laughter of his children. Were they safe? Would he ever see them again? The thought spurred him on, fueled his determination to survive. He stumbled upon a stream, its water running red with blood. He drank deeply, ignoring the metallic tang, the coppery scent. He needed to keep his strength up. He needed to keep moving. As dusk settled, painting the sky in hues of blood and ashes, he found a shallow depression, a semblance of shelter. He huddled there, shivering in the growing cold, his eyes scanning the darkness, his ears straining for any sound of pursuit. Days blurred into nights. Time lost all meaning. He scavenged for food, gnawing on roots, swallowing bitter berries. Hunger gnawed at his belly, a constant ache. He dreamed of hot meals, of sharing laughter with his comrades. He stumbled upon a deserted village, its buildings mere shells, its streets eerily empty. He searched for signs of life, for any indication that he was not alone in this desolate world. But there was nothing, only silence. He found a tattered map, its edges frayed, its markings faded. He traced a route with a trembling finger, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. There, marked with a star, was a town. His town. Could it be? He clung to that hope, that distant beacon in the darkness. It gave him purpose, a reason to keep going. He would find his way home. He had to. Memories. They haunted him, both comforting and cruel. They were a constant presence, a reminder of what he had lost and what he was fighting for. He remembered lazy afternoons fishing with his father, the sun warm on his face, the scent of pine needles in the air. Those moments were simple, yet they held a profound significance in his heart. He remembered his mother's gentle touch, her stories whispered at bedtime. Her voice was a soothing balm, a lullaby that carried him into dreams. He remembered meeting his wife, her laughter like the tinkling of bells. It was a sound that brought light into his life, a melody that played in his heart. He remembered the birth of his children, the wonder in their eyes, the feeling of boundless love that swelled in his heart, those tiny hands gripping his finger, a promise of a future filled with hope. These memories, these precious fragments of a life left behind, were all that kept him going. They were his anchor, his reason to endure the hardships. They were his shield against despair, his weapon against the encroaching darkness. In the midst of chaos, they were his sanctuary. He clung to them, drew strength from them as he trudged on through the desolate landscape, his body weary, his spirit unbroken. Each step was a testament to his resilience. He would survive. He would find his way back to them. The horizon held a promise, a beacon of hope that guided his path. He had to believe that, for their sake, and for his own. His determination was unwavering, fueled by love and the desire to return home. He refused to let this war, this senseless violence, rob him of everything he held dear. His memories were his most treasured possession, a light in the darkest of times. The sun, a burning eye in the sky, beat down on him, relentless and unforgiving. He stumbled, his legs aching, his throat parched, every step a monumental effort. He had been walking for days, following the tattered map, clinging to the hope it represented, the only thing keeping him going. He crested a hill, his heart pounding in his chest, a mix of fear and anticipation. And there, in the distance, he saw it. A plume of smoke, a sign of life, a beacon of hope. His pace quickened, fueled by a surge of adrenaline, by a desperate hope that this was not just another cruel trick of his mind but a real chance at salvation. As he drew closer, he heard it, a sound that made his heart leap, the faint sound of voices, human voices, real, living people. He broke into a run, his legs screaming in protest, his lungs burning. He didn't care. He was alive and he was close. He was going to be okay. He could feel it in his bones. He emerged from the tree line, blinking in the sudden light, his eyes adjusting to the brightness. And there, in a clearing, was a group of people, huddled around a crackling fire, their faces illuminated by the flames. They looked up, startled by his sudden appearance, their eyes wide with surprise and curiosity. He stared at them, his vision blurring with tears. The weight of the past days, the fear, the loneliness all came crashing down in that moment. They were soldiers, but not the enemy. These were familiar faces, comrades he had thought lost forever. These were his allies. He had found them. The relief was overwhelming, a flood of emotions he could barely contain. He had found salvation. He collapsed to his knees, his body finally giving out, the tension draining away, leaving him weak and trembling. The ground felt solid beneath him, a stark contrast to the uncertainty he had faced. Strong arms lifted him, gentle hands brushed the dirt from his face. He felt the warmth of their touch, a reminder that he was no longer alone. He looked into their eyes, saw the concern, the relief, the shared bond of those who had stared death in the face and emerged, forever changed. Their eyes spoke volumes, a silent communication of shared pain and triumph. He was safe. They gave him water, its coolness soothing his parched throat. Each sip was a reminder of life, of survival. They shared their meager rations, the taste of food never sweeter. Every bite was a celebration, a testament to their endurance. He told them his story, his voice hoarse, his words tumbling over each other in his eagerness to share his ordeal, his miraculous escape. The words flowed, a cathartic release of pent-up emotions. They listened patiently, nodding in understanding. Each nod was a gesture of solidarity, a silent promise of support. They knew. They had seen their share of horrors, had faced their own demons. Their haunted expressions mirrored his own. They welcomed him back into the fold, into the brotherhood of soldiers, bound together by an invisible thread of shared experience. This bond was unbreakable, forged in the fires of adversity. He spent a week with them, regaining his strength, his body slowly healing, his mind beginning to process the trauma he had endured. They were heading north, away from the front lines, and he joined them, grateful for their company, for their unspoken understanding. The journey was long and arduous, but he no longer felt alone. He had found his way back from the abyss, had emerged from the darkness, forever marked by the experience, but not broken. He carried the memories of those lost, the scars of battles fought, but he also carried hope. He thought of his family, their faces a beacon in the distance, guiding him home. He would see them again. He would hold them close. He would tell them stories of courage and sacrifice, of loss and redemption. He would teach them the value of peace, the preciousness of life. He was going home,